Welcome to part 3 on my series about the Persians. At the end of the last video, I had just decided to start making preparations for a whole bunch of We Love the Consul Day celebrations in order to grow my cities. So, in this video, we'll observe the preparations for that large party. So here I'm buying up, I'm rushing caravans and whatnot so that I can start building harbors. At least that was what I was doing in a couple of cities. I'd already done some of that in the last video. So, I'm moving all these caravans south. And it was about this time that I started to wish that I had actually invested some time in building roads. On the other hand, as it turned out, if I had spent a lot of time investing in roads, they would have all just been waiting around Zohak or wherever, because there wouldn't have been ships to actually take them anywhere. So the Russians began Shakespeare's theater there. Oh, well, there. Found Merv. And we also founded Bestun, or something. Behistun. That would be my guess. So I took a bit of a risk right here, unloading the caravan to check the hut, because, if it were barbarians, then I'd have basically just lost that caravan. So, what I'm doing there is maximizing the trade at Tyre, which is the home city of this caravan, whereupon I found out that London didn't demand beads anymore. Yeah, I probably mentioned this elsewhere in the last video, but I was really unfortunate that my nearest trading my nearest, rivals, I guess you should say, were on the same continent as me, and also happened to be in a war. By the way, I think that was my first structure that I built. Yeah, anyway, so it's rather unfortunate that not only are my nearest rivals basically on the same continent, which cuts trade by 50%. Oh, there the Russians build Shakespeare's theater. Not only does that cut trade by 50% to the trade payouts, but they were also at war, so, they weren't nice and well built up and everything. The next caravan from Tyre, I didn't even bother sending that way. I just sent it south towards Russia with most of my other caravans. Okay, so what I'm starting to do right here is to set it up so that a whole bunch of my harbors will be done in 5 turns. With production. And sort of set a date for when I was going to start the We Live the Chancellor game. Yeah, so there are a few barbarians. The Vikings developed invention and began Leonardo's workshop. The Egyptians, I believe, developed monotheism, and they didn't start Michelangelo's chapel immediately, but they do on the following turn, which I don't believe I recorded. So there we go. Get some money from my silk caravan from Hamadan. Anyway, Leonardo's workshop, it's one of those wonders where if you're ahead, it makes you more ahead, but if you're behind, you don't really need it. Because, you know, I only have, like, a couple of ships and one settler or whatever, like, only a handful of units. So, having them upgraded isn't really all that worth it. I mean, it's nice, but I don't have a ship change set up or anything like that. So it's not like it saves me a huge hassle or anything. On the other hand, if you're playing on an easier level and you already have a massive amount of units, maybe a chip chain set up to a trading partner, upgrading all that stuff becomes a major hassle. And so Leonardo's workshop then is nicer to have. So here I'm going through and just checking that all my preparations will be done in time for the cities that will be at size 3. Now, Michelangelo's chapel, and you don't really bother getting it at Deity Plus 3, or at least I don't, because you have so many black hat citizens that it doesn't do anything. I will get box, or at least attempt to get it when that comes around. So basically, you don't bother building Mike's Chapel for the same reason. You don't bother building temples, or coliseums, or anything at this high level. At Deity Plus 2, you do want it because you still have a lot of red hat citizens, just regular unhappy. So I got the wheel from the Russians there. Oh yeah, the stupid Civlopedia opens and get an error thing that happens in Windows 7 Virtual PC. Oh, and the Zulus built Michelangelo's chapel. Of all people. So yeah, a whole bunch of harbors are completing here. And preparation for We Love the Console Day. Yeah, even though we're about to have a giant party, you still gotta load the caravans on the ships and all that. So now I could have delivered, oh yes, I think I'm going to deliver that caravan for some extra cash now. I deliver it to Moscow. I believe that that one hit my 2/3 payout cap. So, you know, maybe I should have waited for that one for Passar Gate to grow a little bit. But on the other hand, I wasn't going to get that much more trade. Yeah, so, you know, demand changes, you have to move the caravans around. Yeah, so here we go. I put the tax rate at 60% originally. And then I went to some cities and realized, you know what, I better just put it to 80% straight away, because, you know, I probably could get away with 60 for a little while, and technically that would be better, but, you know, might as well just go with 80 right away. That makes everything so much easier. And it's not like I get that much more stuff over the couple of turns that I could run it at 60. Oh yeah, here I had a bit of a problem because I had that Caravel supported, which made an extra unhappy citizen, so you have to leave an entertainer there to make them happy, and then make one unhappy. It's a bit of a hassle. Usually, you don't want to, in earlier levels, you wouldn't want to have that supported there at all, because you just wouldn't celebrate. So, you know, go over, get a few extra cities to make preparations, because now I'm flush with cash since I just delivered all those caravans. So there you check the attitude advisor to make sure that everything is all set. Yeah, art house in Guillemon will let that city grow and provide me with a base to build settlers from. Yeah, so there are the Zulus. No, I won't fight. I think it was the Mongols. So, yeah, I wasn't going to get involved. So, you know, everyone is now celebrating. We can listen to some nice waltz music for this grand celebration that a lot of the cities in my civilization are having. So, you know, now I started on marketplaces because that will multiply the luxuries which are necessary to keep order. Especially when you want to cut them at the end of the celebration. It helps a lot. So there's chemistry, and navigating physics. Because magnetism will be nice. So there I am, starting to build a bit of a road for my caravans. Yeah, so when you're undertaking a civilization-wide celebration like this, you want to check all your cities every turn to make sure that they're still going to be able to celebrate, or you have to buy a structure or rearrange things. And unfortunately, the attitude advisor doesn't report correctly immediately. I think that if you go and you move the luxury rate around, it will then actually make a proper report. But you still want to check all of your cities anyway to make sure that they're just working the most productive squares. Because the AI doesn't choose squares very well. So there are a couple of cities here that I canceled the celebration for, because they don't really have enough trade to keep it going. Yeah, so in a couple of places you have to have entertainers and all that. Now, in subsequent turns, I edited out this process because, you know, it's not all that interesting to do it again and again and again. you don't really gain much more from it. I'm looking at it 3 times or 4 instead of 1. I guess technically it would have happened 5 times. And I do include it on the very last turn after I cancel the celebration. Yeah, and I see right there in Russia, what demand changed, so one of my caravans was no longer useful. Oh yeah, I should have... Oh no, I didn't rehome that caravel to Sardis because Sardis was supporting a legion out in the open near the English. So, yeah, I'll get 440 more gold from that delivery. Okay, so right there, I was just preparing to deliver the Hides caravan. So you maximize trade, which I'm sure I mentioned already before, in order to get a few extra arrows in your city, because that impacts the initial payout for the trade calculation. So, yeah, I'm getting physics from the Egyptians. There. And I got a more recent copy of their map. So, didn't have magnetism to research, so, you know, start researching sanitation. It's all nice. So here I played around with luxury rates a little bit. And, oh, first of all I checked and found out that I was supreme. Somehow. I didn't realize that I had that many cities that growing to size 8 made me supreme. So, you know, check the luxury rates and all that, and I eventually decided to do 40%. And then just, you know, make do. Yeah, so here I decided I wanted to get the marketplace on the next turn, so, you know, just hire some entertainers from the ocean. Keep up production. Some places it's more necessary, marketplaces are more necessary than others. Yeah, so, you know, when you're done, you have to you have to go and hire some entertainers or whatever. But still, you have a lot more citizens than you did before, so putting them a few on entertainment duty isn't a big deal. So, you know, this pretty much wraps up this video. There's a couple more cities to go and manage. So I want to make a shout out to Muse Open for providing public domain music